So Mayor Munyeneh, tell us just how excited are you to lead the town of Cheverly?
Oh, I'm very excited. We're charting a path to the future. We are creating strategic plans. This is a brand new Cheverly, and I'm really excited to be at the helm of it and see what's in store for the town.
I see on that wall the past mayors, and obviously there was a person of color as the previous mayor before, but there is a sea of whiteness along that wall. You were the first African-American mayor of the town of Cheverly. How does that make you feel emotionally?
I mean, it's definitely a source of pride. I'm probably more excited for my family and knowing all of the sacrifices that they've gone through so that I could be here. I'm extremely excited for Ward 4. I was the representative for the old 4th Ward, which was historically segregated in town. And so I know that it means something to them. I'm incredibly proud for the families in the old 4th Ward who gave of their time, their service consistently to the town, and many of them deserve to be here more than I do. Mr. Ely, who was the first person elected to the town council, Mr. Tucker, who served for almost 30-some years on the 4th Ward Civics Association, Mr. Price, who served. I mean, there's been some really notable families who have contributed to the town for years, decades. And I'm just excited for them for what that may mean to them more than anything else.
What are some of your priorities as mayor?
I've been mayor for a little under 24 hours, but I had a lot of priorities as vice mayor and the council member for Ward 4. The number one is addressing what you see today. Today it's raining, and when it rains in Cheverly, lots of bad things happen to my constituents and residents. Last September, many of our residents experienced significant loss with the floods in September. And we've got a lot of water woes, and so I specifically want to address infrastructure. Our town historically has been very prudent with its money, and in some ways it put us in a fantastic position financially. But at some point you have to pay to take care of your home. And so Cheverly is our home, and we need to put some money into infrastructure to make sure when it rains, it's not a disastrous day for several people in town.
What would you like to do to ensure that people have confidence in the Cheverly police force? I know several years ago there were some lawsuits and claims of harassment and whatnot, several years ago. But what message do you have for the residents of Cheverly that their police force will be effective but fair?
Yeah, I think we have some fantastic changes on the horizon. First and foremost, we have a brand new chief. I think our chief has been here for about 2 years now. Wildly loved by the community. They actually did a petition to make sure he could be chief. They wanted him so bad here. So one of the things that we know we have is good staff. Aside from that, as council member, I actually authored the In Defense of Black Lives resolution, which creates a community complaints board. And so we're in the beginning of establishing that. We are also looking at police reform in connection with what the state does and the different laws that will come out in the coming months regarding police reform. So I think that we've got a bright future ahead. The other thing that I won't ignore is that we have an educated police force. One of the first things that I shared with our chief of police was that he needed to go and take the training that's at the National African-American History and Culture Museum. It was a requirement for me. I previously was in law enforcement before I worked for the federal government, and I worked for the Metropolitan Police Department for 15 years. And one of our requirements was we had to do a 12-hour tour to educate ourselves on the role of policing in Black communities, and particularly what slave patrols were, essentially is what the police department is now. And so when he went to that training, he got it. Out of that birthed things like the Police Chiefs Advisory Board and other ancillary organizations in town that specifically address how community members are going to be treated, particularly by the police. So I think that we're not always going to get it right. And wherever there is leadership, wherever there's people, there's going to be people problems. But I think that Cheverly is done with any sort of bad press and media. That's my desire, at least.
Cheverly is demographically approximately 60% African American. What message would you have for a young black child, whether a man or a boy or a girl, about just inspiring if they're like, here it is, here you are standing as leader of this town. Do you hope that you're an inspiration for young African American children in the town of Cheverly?
I hope so. I'm not trying to be modest in saying I'm the least of these, right? So I wouldn't necessarily have said I was the person cut out to be the mayor of the town. I didn't even want to run for office at first. I had just had a baby and my community was saying, hey, you're the president of the Civics Association, you can do this. And I thought, no, I can't. I can barely get this parenting thing down. But I realized a couple of things along the way, and that's what I'd share with people, not necessarily inspiration, but just some tips that I've come up with. And one is focus on the work. Get the work done, because people will notice. And if you don't worry about whether or not you get credit for it, you just do it and get it done, people will appreciate it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I am unequivocally black. It is undeniable, you cannot ignore it. But that doesn't keep me from doing whatever I want to do. It makes it a lot harder, period. If it wasn't so hard, I wouldn't be the first to have been able to be in this spot. But that being said, it's doable. Anything you want to do is doable. And we tell people that as the American dream, kind of knowing that that's not always true, but essentially it really is. Anything you want to do is possible. The third thing I would tell people to do is believe in something. And so I don't want to proselytize, but I am a devout Christian, and that is the only reason why I'm sitting here today, period. If it were not for grace and mercy, and really people believing in second chances and forgiveness, I would not be sitting here, for sure. And lastly, I will tell people to remember what their why is, because that's what's going to motivate them more than I ever would. And my why is my 3-year-old son. I want him to be able to walk through any street in Cheverly and no police officer pull him over because he's black, nobody mistreat him, and nobody make him feel like he's a second-class citizen. And every day that I remember that is every day I can get up at 4 a.m. and get to work.
Talk to me about just like the emotions and the struggle to get the town seal changed. Mount Hope, the old plantation, was on there. A slave-owning plantation was on the seal of your town. And you fought to get that seal changed. And very soon it will be changed, and I'm sure you probably have an idea for what that, there'll be community meetings about what that seal will represent. But I guess maybe, A, could you take us back to that struggle to change that seal? And then B, could you let us know what you would like to see for the symbol of Cheverly?
I have to, give credit to people who tried to get that seal changed many years before I ever knew what it was. I didn't know what it was. I like to think of myself as a little bit preppy, and I love blazers. It's just because I don't have chiseled arms. And I went to go find out about how to get the seal on my blazer, because there's a sort of a university for municipal leaders called MML, which is the Maryland Municipal League. And everybody always is representing their town, and I didn't have anything to represent Cheverly. And so I went to get that emblazoned on my blazer, and I was told what it was. It was Mount Hope, ironically that's the name, which was originally a slave plantation. And of course I said, that can't go on my blazer. And not only can that not go on my blazer, it can't be on my town flag either. That can't be our town seal. So I immediately started speaking with a council member who was no longer in office. And she was like, yeah, I thought you knew. And I was like, no, I didn't, but it needs to change right away. So I started talking with the other council members. I started talking with the town administrator about what are the steps we need to take this off here. And literally our very next meeting, it was gone. There was some conversation about should we have talks about it? Do we need to preserve it for history? And I had that conversation before because I'm originally from South Carolina, and we talked about that when it came to the Confederate flag. How do we want to honor history and all that? And so I'm like, history belongs in a book. our museum. It doesn't belong on a flag. So we were able to remove it unanimously. And I'm glad that I got the support from the other council members in the rest of town. And now we are embarking on a brand new flag, a brand new seal. And I love the way we've done it. Each ward has picked a youth member and someone who's a little more seasoned. And they will all collaborate together to come up with our new seal. I hope that it just reflects the values of our town, which is that we're not just diverse. You quoted the statistics for the town. We've been a diverse town for a long time. I want us to be inclusive of everybody that's here. Just sitting at the table is not enough. Everybody needs to have a voice too. And I want whatever that seal is to represent just that.
What's the timeline for the new seal? When would you like to see the new seal revealed?
Well, they've already started meeting, so I believe we can have a seal by October or November of this year.